Now, in-depth coverage of the Texas legislative session. In session, in depth.
Take a look at that. State lawmakers working over the weekend after the regular session is done. Good morning, I'm Josh Hinkle. Governor Rick Perry has called them back for a special session. You just saw a hearing from a committee on redistricting, the only topic he's told them to address so far. It's the process of redrawing voting maps, and in question are those maps the Republican-led legislature drew last session. Minority groups say they're discriminatory. The Supreme Court could hash that out as soon as next month, but Perry wants state lawmakers to adopt the temporary maps drawn by a panel of judges for last year's elections. It could prevent more legal challenges and keep the state from moving its primary next year. Remember, the governor can call a special session for any unfinished business for 30 days at a time. And some people suspect he'll add more conservative topics to the list, like a bill to require drug tests of people applying for welfare, a bill to allow CHL holders to carry their weapons into college classrooms, legislation that would further restrict abortions, and another regarding school choice. There's also a push for transportation. A new plan aims to fund highways and ease congestion for years to come, but it has a steep road ahead, including convincing the governor to even add it to the call.
We live in a world where it's rush, rush, rush. Drive faster, turn here, park now.
Like coming to the park?
Yeah, it doesn't move. It's stuck here.
For Tina Lowry and her 4-year-old Cohen,
Do you want to drive? You a good driver?
a little off-road relaxation might be the only solution
Where would you put your foot if you had to slam on the brakes? Because traffic's so bad.
to their problem with Texas traffic for now.
I know within the last 5 years, it's just gotten horrendous.
From 35 south to north, if you're headed from airport to Kyle, you're in traffic for what, an hour and a half?
They have this huge traffic problem and congestion. It just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird to me.
Considering the state's growing population and growing need for infrastructure. It's behind a new Senate proposal. The Texas Department of Transportation says it needs $4 billion a year to keep up. This plan would mean about $1 billion a year from the state's rainy day fund, if the governor adds it to the list of legislation for lawmakers to consider in this special session.
There's been some important movement in the transportation side. Is it enough? From my perspective, no. But again, I think it's a little bit premature.
But highways here do need help.
You need help with your shoe?
Someone or some money to swoop in and save them.
I hope that we can find some relief for them.
You're a road rager, huh?
For Lowry, relief will come knowing the roads are a little better when this little guy starts driving.
I know, that scares me. Let's not talk about it.
But not everyone's on board with that Senate plan, especially since it means taking money from the rainy day fund. This past session, lawmakers approved draining $4 billion for education and water infrastructure. Now many say that's enough. We've already spent too much. TxDOT did get some money in the regular session, though. $400 million for general spending and $450 million for roads near oil fields in South Texas. It's a lot to tackle, especially considering the amount of work lawmakers had in the regular session. On top of passing a near $100 billion budget, they filed nearly 5,900 bills. About a fifth of those, about 1,200, made it to the governor's desk, including a few big items that barely hit the finish line. Rushing through in the final days of the session, a $2 billion plan for a new state water fund. It's one of the governor's priorities and part of a larger bill that would pay the tab for fighting wildfires in recent years. In light of school shootings like the one in Newtown, Connecticut, lawmakers put millions toward mental health funding. They also approved a measure that lets students with CHLs keep their guns in their cars on college campuses. Well, last session, it was school funding cuts that pushed lawmakers into a special session. Fast forward 2 years, and we're seeing a major move to restore that money. We'll tell you about big changes coming up for classrooms when In Session, In Depth returns.